Thank you for listening to this Podcast One production. Now available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, PodcastOne.com, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.
Today's edition of Beyond the Darkness is brought to you by White Castle. You know, in my go-go-go lifestyle, all I need is 60 seconds to get a quick and easy snack or meal with microwavable sliders from White Castle. You know, when Dave and I are out ghost hunting, we're out investigating, it's a long day, and it becomes an even longer night. You get out of there at about 3:34 in the morning, and you look around, you look for something to eat, and there is nothing. And I mean nothing open. So you wonder to yourself as your belly's growling, what can I eat? And then the solution's real easy. It's real simple. It's right there in my freezer. It's this beautiful box. And in it is microwavable White Castle sliders. Those delicious, steamy, wonderful little microwavable sliders from White Castle. Oh, I can taste them right now. They're so craveable. I love them. I love them. I love them. I love them. See, I don't know if I can get through this without wanting to go heat a couple up right now. I have them in my freezer. I keep plenty stocked, plenty on hand for when that craving hits me. And now I don't know if I want to go investigate or go eat. White Castle sliders have that unique, one-of-a-kind taste that is totally crave-worthy, and that craving can hit you at any time. And it's such a delicious, wonderful craving. I'll tell you, that crave, that love of White Castle has been there for quite some time. Here in the Midwest, where White Castle started back in 1921 in Ohio, and here in the Midwest in Minnesota, we've had White Castle for quite some time. White Castle is one of those experiences that you grew up with, especially here in Minnesota. Believe it or not, here in the Midwest, in Minnesota, on Valentine's Day, they do a special Valentine's Day dinner at White Castle. That's to be believed. It'll bring you right back to the 50s with tablecloths and personal service, and it's just amazing with those same White Castle sliders. And every time I get one of those from my freezer, I think of that personal little experience, and I just wish they marketed the milkshakes on top of it, because those are even better. That's something we have to talk about. White Castle is getting those milkshakes together too. I'd like a chocolate one if I could, but I digress. We'll talk about that later. Where was I? Oh yes, White Castle sliders. Oh, so crave-worthy. They're the perfect solution for lunches, snacks, dinners. You can eat them by yourself or eat them with family. They're absolutely wonderful. You're going to want to have extra stocked in your freezer. I know I keep plenty in my freezer. I like mine with cheese. I also have a little combination I like to put together. I've got mine with cheese. I've got mustard, and I also keep little dill slices that I put on mine. Put a little mustard and dill slices on yours. I guarantee you that is the perfect combination, and they're oh so tasty. I make sure that I've got plenty on hand. You make sure that you keep plenty on hand as well, too. Again, they're the perfect in-between meal snack. They're perfect for lunch. They're perfect for dinner. White Castle microwavable sliders are just 60 seconds to a quick, easy snack or meal, and they're absolutely perfect. Make sure you go to the freezer aisle section of your grocery store and pick up some White Castle sliders today. White Castle is easy to heat and fun to eat.
There is a place that is spoken about only in whispers. A dark area that spawns the beginnings of urban legends. A place where anything can happen and usually does. During the light of day, it hides just outside of view. But when the sun goes down, spirits, creatures of the night, roam free, and things do go bump in the night. It is in every state and every country, and there is no escaping it, no matter how safe you feel behind your locked doors and latched windows. So we invite you to turn down the lights and turn up your radio while we join Dave Schrader and Tim Dennis, your hosts, on a journey into the darkness on the edge of town.
Hello and welcome. You're tuned into the best in paranormal talk radio. This is Darkness Radio. I'm Dave Schrader. That's Tim Dennis. How you doing, pal?
Doing all right.
Hey, I like that. Listen, that is the most energetic response I've gotten from you in a long time. I think that's a good sign, Tim.
It's the drugs I'm on, Dave.
It's a good sign that you're on drugs. That's exactly what I meant.
Yeah. The quarantine has gotten to me, and I've totally raided the drug cabinet, knowing that eventually there'll be more. Right? They're not taking cough syrup off the shelves at the pharmacy yet, have they?
No,
good.
Not at all. I got to admit, I've overdosed a few times on Gas X and Flintstone chewables.
Oh, that'll do it too.
Yeah. You don't want to come out of that headache, man. Wow.
Whew. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
No.
What a hangover.
Yeah. No, I you know what? Most people, I know there's a lot of people that are kind of going stir crazy in quarantine. I'm not one of them.
No, again, that's because you and I are Minnesotans, my friend, and we're used to being locked away from the rest of the world 80% of the year. So this is really just kind of everything as usual. I just have to, now I'm allowed to wear a gangster mask when I go shopping and wear gloves.
I call it dress up day. I think it's kind of neat.
I like to pretend that I'm Florida man in those instances and see exactly, what I can get away with in a store while cloaked underneath the mask of anonymity, which isn't so anonymous because I'm wearing the bandana around my face that intern Yoko made for our dog.
Yeah.
But the dog is still too little to wear the big bandana, so I wear it around my face and go in.
We'll see.
And then I pull my hood up over my head, so I've got this real Unabomber thing going.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I went into the pharmacy the other day, and I added a cape to the whole ensemble because I figured, I do it with flair, right? So I had a cape with the ensemble, and then my pharmacist, Dwayne, said, "Oh, wait, Tim, it's not a Robin mask you're supposed to be wearing with the cape. It's supposed to be a face mask to protect you from COVID-19, although you do look stunning." And I said, "I appreciate that. Thank you. Could I get my meds, please?"
It makes me think maybe I should add my Lone Ranger mask to my COVID Beyond the Darkness mask.
I think you should.
Plus my hood.
No white hat?
I look like I belong in Tom Cruise's movie Eyes Wide Shut.
Ooh, that's a good. That's kind of a twisted twist, but I like it. I think you ought to do that. Yeah.
I might just do it.
Yeah.
Might just do it. All right. Speaking of doing it, let's get her done.
Huh?
What is the first story of the week as we take a look at supernatural news?
Do you want to break it in with the Beatles story?
Do I believe this is the follow-up. We did a story about this a couple weeks ago, right?
I believe so, yes, about John Lennon's life and seeing the UFO in New York City.
Right.
This Beatles saw UFOs and met with aliens. We're talking John Lennon, of course, folks.
Right. Now, that's new news to me. I'd heard that he had seen the UFOs. He wrote about it in a song.
Mm-hmm.
But that he met with an alien, that's a new aspect of the story that I had never heard before. Had you?
I did kind of bury the headline there. I had not heard the met with aliens deal.
No.
No, that's new. That is new.
All right.
Throughout much of John Lennon's life, a lot of bizarre things have happened to him, and there are tons of well-known anecdotes about him, but nothing compares to the story about how John Lennon saw UFOs over New York City and how he met with them in person. John Lennon first alluded to seeing UFOs when he discreetly put, "On the 23rd August 1974 at 9 o'clock, I saw a UFO," on the cover of his classic album Walls and Bridges. This was not an attempt by Lennon to be weird and funny on purpose. He actually did see the UFOs, apparently. According to History.com, Lennon was lying in bed naked when he suddenly got the urge to walk out onto his balcony. Haven't we all had that, though? When he saw a flying disc with white blinking lights and a red blinking light on top. Lennon explained that he was completely sober during the entire experience, even though the sighting happened during Lennon's infamous Lost Weekend when he separated from his wife Yoko Ono and went off the rails drinking and doing loads of drugs with his friends. UltimateClassicRock.com said May Pang, Lennon's girlfriend throughout the Lost Weekend, said this. She said, "As I walked out onto the terrace, my eye caught this large circular object coming towards us. It was shaped like a flattened cone, and on top was a large brilliant red light, not pulsating as on any of the aircraft we'd seen heading for a landing at Newark Airport. When it came closer, we could make out a row or circle of white lights that ran around the entire rim of the craft. These were also flashing on and off. There were so many of these lights that it was dazzling to the mind. Lennon also apparently took photos of the UFO, and when he developed them, nothing showed. But when he also called the police about it, they told him that they had had similar calls coming in. Later on, Lennon put his experience in his song, Nobody Told Me, saying, "There's UFOs over New York, and I ain't too surprised." But this experience was nothing compared to the story of Lennon coming into contact with extraterrestrial life. That's where we pick up the new part of this story.
Right.
According to Uri Geller, who is a British magician and was friends with Lennon, he claims that Lennon told him that he had met with aliens. "I've kept this story to myself for many, many years and never told it to anyone," he told the Weekly News. "When John told me of this event, it was so bizarre and weird and so ahead of its time that no one would have believed it. But today people are telling how they have been taken into UFOs and probed by aliens from outer space. John never asked me to keep his story a secret, so I thought it would be interesting to tell it in my first magazine. It basically blew my mind because I already was then a believer in extraterrestrials visiting our planet," Geller said.
That's so cool.
One night he was lying in bed in the Dakota building where he lived in New York and suddenly noticed an extreme bright light pouring in from around the edges of the bedroom door. It was so powerful, he thought, it was someone aiming a searchlight through his apartment. He got up, crossed to the door, and flung it open. The next thing he could remember was 4 thin-looking figures. He said that the figures came over to him as he just stood there. 2 of them held his hands, and the other 2 gently pushed his legs as he was gently guided into this tunnel of light. He was shown all of his life, just like watching a movie, and he told me it was the most outstandingly beautiful thing he'd ever seen. John recalled something being given to him, and that's all he remembered at that time. But when he opened his hand, there was this odd-looking, not quite egg-shaped ball of metal. Very smooth and very heavy, also about an inch or so wide. Then he put his hand in his pocket, pulled out the object that the aliens had given him, and gave it to me. So he gave the object to Uri Geller. Interesting.
That's weird. Why would you just turn it over to Uri Geller?
I don't know. In the Telegraph's article, Geller said that Lennon described the alien creatures as bug-like, and he said he still has the egg to this day, Geller does, but no one can know for sure if what Lennon said was true. When asked about why he didn't want the egg anymore, Lennon said, "It's too weird for me. If it's my ticket to another planet, I don't want to go there." Either way, the stories aren't very surprising given Lennon's track record. So evidently, if he must have thought it was a portal to go back to that light or something. I don't know. But he didn't want the egg, so he gave it to Uri Geller.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That just seems like we should have heard that story long ago. Maybe we did. We're old, Tim.
You know what? I think this is a picture of it in this article with Uri Geller. You know what it looks like? Have you ever gotten the Cadbury caramel eggs at Easter?
No.
You know, the gold foil wrapping?
No.
It does. It looks like
we're not a wealthy family, Tim.
It looks like a Cadbury egg.
Does it?
Yeah, it looks like the gold foil on a Cadbury egg.
You know, Lennon supposedly talked about knowing when he was going to die as well. That would make sense with getting this life review. That's
true. If they showed him his entire life, they had to have shown him his death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How messed up would that be? Would you want to know?
You know, there's a popular show in the Twin Cities that used to play that game. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, I always thought to myself, and I have thought to myself from time to time, do I want to know? Because in that time, if you knew for sure, for me, it would change the way I lived. I would try to fit in as much as I could, but it would also, I think, make me slightly paranoid. And I'm a guy who, if I know there's a deadline coming, I get rushed. I get hurried. I don't panic, but I try to I dread the end that's coming. And I try to fit in as much as I can, say as much as I can, do as much as I can before that end is over. So it would definitely change me. It would change everything about me. And I don't know. I think that's why we never know when the end is coming, because we're not to change who we are and not change our journey the way it is. We're supposed to get to that conclusion, right, of where we're supposed to be at the end without being influenced as to knowing when the end is.
See, I waffle on that. It's kind of like I'd like to know if it's like in my 80s or 53, right? I'd like to know, just because I'd like to plan a little better and have, the best of times, which is an important reason of why you should live every day like it could be your last, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And do all the things that you want to do. But I wouldn't want to know if it was a tragic ending. Does that make sense? Like, I don't want to know that I'm going to get shot or fall in front of a train or be eaten by a shark. I want it to, because that would be too disturbing. I don't know. We'll throw it out to the listeners. Okay. All right, folks.
Yeah.
Email me, dave@darknessradio.com. Would you like to know how and when you're going to die, or would you rather just know? Oh, that'd be the question. How about that, Tim?
Okay.
A genie comes forth and tells all of us, I can tell you how and when, or how or when. So would you want to know how and when, or would you just want to know how, or just want to know when? So email me your thoughts and then why you would want it that way. Let me know what your thoughts are, dave@darknessradio.com.
Ooh, we're getting deep. I like
that.
Yeah.
I want to know how or when. Maybe I just want to know when. I know what you're saying, it'd alter your life, but would that be a horrible thing? How much better would we treat ourselves and the world if we knew when the sands of our hourglass would slip through?
See, I think psychologically you would potentially change your path. It's the Scrooge effect.
Maybe that's the good thing, though, right? Look at what it did for Scrooge.
Well, it could be, but then again, you may...
Boy, what day is it? It's Christmas morning, sir. Christmas morning. Is that fat goose still in the window? Right?
Well, but then again, maybe it changes something you were supposed to do that would have influenced somebody on a different path that would have made them something really special. Let's say, for example, you're the evil owner of a baseball team. I'm not pointing any team out in particular. But let's say in a moment you fired somebody that really desired to be in a position inside that organization. They, at that moment, were motivated and became the general manager of another major league team who created a dynasty out of that major league team that won many championships and went on to do a lot of great things. In that moment, if you were the owner of that team, found out how and when you were going to die and changed your ways and built that dynasty there and kept that person there and elevated, maybe didn't elevate that person to general manager, but you kept them in the organization in a lower form, then you've changed your destiny and you've changed that person's destiny. They never realized who they were going to be. So maybe, that butterfly effect of, changing who you were changed a bunch of other people's destinies.
I can see that aspect. To me, that's more of a glass half full or a half glass full. But I think it could change your destinies to make people's lives better as well. Look at how many more people you might influence in a positive way by being kind, by being considerate, by knowing and being more aware of the way that you treat people. I don't know. It's hard to say. It is so bizarre. All right. So email me, folks. Would you want to know how and when, or just how or when? Email me, dave@darknessradio.com. You make great points, though, but now we've learned an important thing during your discussion on it. You miss sports, Tim.
I do miss sports. I'm not going to lie. I'm just hoping we play this NFL season. I can't wait to get back to mediocrity and losing in the first round of the playoffs.
Woo-hoo!
I really can't.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of, let's get back to it. Where are we off to next?
We go right back to the world of UFOs, Dave. And speaking of ways of dying, this is probably a good segue. A farmer was the first man killed by a UFO after aliens shot at him from a flying saucer. This brings back memories of our friends over at Skinwalker Ranch when you talk about being shot by a UFO or an alien craft. Farmer Luis Barrasso Fernandez was shot at by an alien flying saucer and died several days later. This according to expert Philip Mantle. A farmer was the first person in the world to be killed by a UFO, says an investigator of alien encounters. Luis Barrasso Fernandez was shot at by an alien flying saucer and died several days later, according to expert Philip Mantle. Luis is said to have heard a strange buzzing noise and spotted an unknown object in the sky before the attack, a few miles outside of the town of Quixada, I believe it is, Brazil. 2 students, military personnel, and a local radio broadcaster also reported seeing the UFO over the city on the same date. Mr. Mantle of Pontefract, West Yorks, has backed the astonishing claim by publishing the book UFO Contacts in Brazil. According to its account, the flying disc landed 100 feet from Mr. Fernandez in 1973, and the 2 aliens emerged, with one holding a torch. The farmer was then zapped in the face with a device. Yikes. Leaving both him and his donkey paralyzed. Mr.
Fernandez don't know what that was, by the way. That was an imitation of Tim Burton's Mars Attacks Aliens. If you haven't seen that movie, you're lucky. Don't do it. Don't waste your time. If not for Slim Whitman, the rest of the movie would be a complete nightmare. But it's so bad. So bad. And if you disagree with me, you thought it was a great movie, just email me and tell me all about it at tim@darknessradio.com.
That's not your email.
I know. Yeah, that's why I want them to write to you about it.
Right. Okay. Sure. Yeah. We got to talk off air about people communicating with me.
If it's easier, you could just call Tim at 612.
No. We don't need any more phone calls. No, that's fine.
No, that's true. Yeah, folks, let's address that real quick after this story. Continue on, Tim.
The farmer was then zapped in the face with the device, leaving him both him and his donkey paralyzed. Mr. Fernandez died 20 years later in a psychiatric hospital. The book's author, Thiago Luis Tichetti, said many people claim to have come in direct contact with the UFO, and some even claim that it has hurt them as a result. Contact with the UFO is not common at all, but when the UFO in question shoots a beam of light at you, a light that hits you full in the face is extremely rare. We will probably never know, but this is one of the most bizarre and rarest such close encounters on record. Of that, there is no doubt. So there you go.
How crazy is that? Yeah. On record that somebody was killed by an UFO, Tim.
Yeah, in the picture of Mr. Fernandez, some of the pictures of him are disturbing. I mean, him just there's one of him just laying in a hospital bed, and it's unnerving.
Does his face look like it was zapped?
Yeah, he has that look like he's been almost mentally torn apart. You know how your eyes are closed, your mouth is kind of agape, and you're, like you've been stunned or shocked. Yeah.
Wow, that is tragic. What a weird deal. I will mention this since we're on talking about UFOs and such right now, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
We have a hell of a show coming up tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Stephen Greer joins us to talk about close encounters of the fifth kind. Dr. Stephen Greer on Darkness Radio tomorrow. The best in paranormal talk radio just keeps getting better. Tune in tomorrow. It's Dr. Stephen Greer will be our guest. Well, that's great, Dave, but why can't you ever tell us who else is going to be on your show? We like to kind of plan our lives out. We like to know what's going on. Okay, fine. Next week, Destination Fear, Dakota and Chelsea Layden join us to talk about their experiences. Oh, did I also mention next Saturday, Tim?
Yeah.
Next Saturday,
mm-hmm.
joining us on this program for the first time, together. Jack Osborne and Katrina Weidman.
Wow.
From Portals to Hell. Those shows are returning. We're going to be talking with them on Saturday. We'll be talking with Dakota and Chelsea on Sunday. Well, that's great, Dave. But what about the end of the month? We want to know about the end of the month. Boy, you people are picky. We're going to talk about quantum science with Dr. Carl Kalaman. How about that? Quantum science, alternate realities, traversing the universes, psychedelic drugs, and more, Tim. But what about May? Just sit back and relax. Just sit back and relax, would you, for God's sakes? Some people, Tim.
Right. Yeah.
It's all about my needs, my needs, my needs.
Man.
I know. But I love these people. Doesn't matter. But I will tell you, on Mother's Day, Tim.
Yeah?
Dean Orozco joins us, the Alien Human Hybridization Project. I figured that was a good topic for Mother's Day.
That is a good
Alien
one.
Human Hybridization.
Yeah.
What's that after that, Tim? Fine, Tim.
Well,
Lon Strickler, winged cryptids, flying cryptid sightings, Tim. How about that?
That's a good one.
Oh, that's not enough for you, Tim. You want to go another week into May? Fine. On the 24th, Barbara Holland joins us as we discuss an anatomy of a haunting, Tim. Okay? And then rounding out the month of May.
Jeez.
On the 31st, Dr. Heather Lynn, Sumerian Gods, Alien DNA, and the Fate of Humanity. That's all that you can expect during the next month and a half here on the best in paranormal talk radio. Why? Because you're the best, and we want you to know that we love you. And those are the programs on the docket, on the slate, so you'll be able to hear a myriad of awesome topics between now and then. We have ghosts, Tim. We have cryptids. We've got it all. UFO, alien encounters, alien-human hybridization, dogs and cats living together. It's pandemonium.
Now I can't wait for the email that goes,
Dear Dave, I totally don't like that lineup.
Oh, I'll get him. Yeah, I'll get him. That's why I don't usually share the guest because people, I just like it to be a surprise. But you know what? That's it. I won't tell you what comes in June.
Yeah.
But that's what you can look forward to. I heard it was going to be in June. I'll just wait till June 3rd to listen. That's what I'll get. But that's crazy. Hey, listen, I want to address the fact that I've thrown out there a few times that if you are lonely and you are having a hard time during this and feel isolated and alone, you can email me, dave@darknessradio.com. And if you include a phone number, I will try to give you a call. I've done that a few times. Unfortunately, everybody I've called, it just sends me to their voicemail. But I've at least left voicemail messages for those people, and I will try to call them again. But if you're really, truly alone in this and just need to talk, I'm trying to work it in where I can give you a buzz and we can spend some time just chit-chatting for a little bit and try to just keep feeling human through all of this. So if you're in that position and you need to, just email me, dave@darknessradio.com. And if you get a call from a number you don't recognize from Minnesota, answer it, because you never know who might be on the other end. It could be Darkness Dave. It could be Darkness Tim. It won't be, but it'll be Darkness Dave. But if you also say you want to just reach out, you can always email us, dave@darknessradio.com or tim@darknessradio.com. Now, notice, I said you email me and leave me your phone number. I'll call you from one of our business lines, and we'll have a conversation. All I ask, folks, is there are a few people who have just taken to calling us via Facebook and calling us at odd hours. We do both have a life and family and need sleep. So if you could resist just calling us middle of the night on Facebook, that would be great. We'd both appreciate that. Just, message us. And if one of us is awake or one of us is around and has a few minutes, we might be able to pop on and talk to you. But don't just call. Okay? We'll try to coordinate something together. Fair enough? Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Tim. It's supernatural news. We've got it. We might as well read it. We also have some emails, Tim. And did I mention we've got phone calls?
We do, yeah.
Yeah. How do you call Dave and Tim to be a part of the show? Because you're not giving your number. Well, we do. We give our Voices from Beyond voicemail number. It's 651-300-4977. 651-300-4977. Call and tell us your paranormal stories. We want to hear them. We want to know them. Tell us all about it. You could do it just by calling 651-300-4977. If it was scary, if it was funny, if it's heartwarming, if it's weird, aliens, maybe you're an alien-human hybrid. We want to hear about it. Not in gross detail, but we want to hear about it. Maybe you've seen a Bigfoot. Maybe you played with the Ouija board as a child and believe that you've opened a portal to the other side and Elvis's ghost is stalking you through said portal. We want to know these stories. Maybe you and your friends were playing one night and thinking you were communicating with the other side and had a hilariously misunderstood moment. We want to hear about those too. Just call us 651-300-4977. Or if you're so lame that you don't want to call us, you just want to email me, Dave@darknessradio.com, and I'll read them in my own dulcet tones.
Oh.
Yep, that's what I do. So, all right, we've got an email here, Tim.
Okay.
Are you ready for this?
Ready.
Hello, Darkness Brothers. Oh, I like that. That should be our wrestling moniker, the Darkness Brothers.
I like it, yeah. I'll get the outfits made up this weekend.
Yeah. Thought I should let you know that at about 3 a.m. in the morning a few days ago, Australian time, I had partially woken from my slumber to hear your dulcet tones. Dulcet tones yet again, Tim, coming through my earphones. Mm-hmm. As I often go to sleep with you guys. Mm-hmm. Oh, you know what I mean, he says.
Oh.
So as podcast apps go, it must have rolled through a couple of Darkness Radio episodes. And what I woke up to really threw me, startling me to no end. Tim was in full swing questioning AI. Well, why would that throw you? That's Tim all the time.
That's me on
in particular,
Saturday. Yeah.
Irish medical software that can perform some minor medical tasks, which was intended to free up real medical staff during the coronavirus plight. At 1 hour, 38 minutes into the show, again, bearing in mind that I had just woken up and Tim was talking about AI, Siri or some other function on Tim's phone, I think, goes with bing. Just a moment. Just to confirm, you want to call Kevin Day. Well, I didn't know if I had dialed you or if I was dreaming or were you about to call me or some other random. But the fact you were discussing AI and that it was the wee hours and that I was well and truly in La La Land, I seriously freaked out. Kind of strange how I woke up just a minute or so beforehand to hear that. It was also a bit of a mind blow. That's what he puts in here. I'm just reading the doo-doo-doo-doos as I see him, Tim.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Anyway, thought it was weird enough set of circumstances that you may be interested to hear about, particularly as Tim was really delving into the AI conspiracy at the time. P.S. Tim, I assume that I am not the Kevin Day in your contact list. All the best, guys. Love your work, but no more freaking me out. Cheers, Kevin Day.
Well,
Siri, call Kevin Day.
Let me see something real quick, and I'll be able to tell you for sure. Because I think I know what she did. What
Siri did?
Yep. No, it is not. It is. There is a Kevin Day here in Minneapolis. I'm sure is what she was pulling up. Because you know how sometimes Siri will pull up your. I shouldn't say it too loud because she'll do it. We'll pull up your Facebook contacts.
Look at how afraid you are of her. I shouldn't say it too loud. She's listening.
She's listening. She's listening. She's always listening.
Can't do this anymore.
Hey, Siri, get me a pizza.
One option nearby is Chanticleer Pizza on 125th
I told you
Lane
she's always
Eastern
listening.
Lane.
It's because you called out to her.
Forget
Good
what
morning.
I said. Forget what I said.
Okay.
Told you.
You know, that answer, though, sounded like she was kind of like, oh, okay. Like, oh, Shea meeting isn't good for you right now. That's what she sounded like, Tim.
Right. She knows. She's
Good morning, Dave and Tim.
Morning.
I have to say, so I will do my best to make this short. First, I love your program. Thanks for making me laugh in this hard time. Second, please take it easy on Tim. There are times you two remind me of my boys, and I have to tell one of them to stop picking on the other.
Thank you.
Shut up! Oh, God, we are brothers. We've known each other 32 years now, 31, 32 years.
32.
Tim is my junior. If anybody needs a good picking on from time to time, it's your dopey little brother, Tim. That's all I do, folks. Now, after the second or third time you recommended spiritart.com with Michael and Marty Perry, I decided to give them a call. I scheduled a visit, and I'm so happy I did. I lost someone who was like my mother in 2013, and my heart never healed. I wanted so much to speak to her again, and I did. Although very emotional, it was very comforting. She came in right away, and it was exactly what I needed. Marty sent a picture that she drew, and it was my grandmother without a doubt. Marty picked up on my carpal tunnel, which had started to bother just a few hours prior to the visit. She saw abdominal surgery, and my son is having surgery this morning, and it was just scheduled yesterday. Our meeting with Michael and Marty was last night. No one could have known those things because it was just hours after they had happened. I want to thank you so much for recommending them. They are great, and so are you two guys. Thank you so much, and that comes from Lisa.
Aww.
I'm glad you like it, Lisa. They're two of the best. They are two of the best. SpiritArt.com if you want to make connections to the other side. Then reach out and tell Michael and Marty you heard about them on Darkness Radio. I also know our good friend Mark Anthony is offering special reduced prices on readings during the COVID crisis, Tim.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So if you check out his website, which I believe is, God, now my mind is blank, Tim. What is Mark Anthony's website?
Is it Speaking of Eternity or... No.
Oh, my God. How horrible are we?
Psychic Attorney or... Oh, God.
I'm looking it up right now while we're doing this because I'm a horrible, horrible friend. I just saw his email, too, and I know it, and I can't think of the damn... Evidence of Eternity.
That's what it is.
Evidenceofeternity.com, and you can find in-person readings or the phone readings that he offers there on his site. So go to evidenceofeternity.com and get yourself set up. All right. Where are we going next, Mr. Dennis?
We're headed over yonder, Dave. Cambridgeshire. Tomato.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Shadowy figure has been filmed moving down a deserted street, just walking to the beat, if you know what I mean. A creepy figure that appears to be walking down a street has been captured by a CCTV camera. The short clip shows what looks like a translucent figure carrying a light as it makes its way down a deserted street in Cambridgeshire. Rachel Jones, whose camera caught the footage, said she was alerted to the unexplained occurrence after hearing a noise outside. She said, I was at home sitting on my bed and I heard a noise outside, so I quickly picked up my phone and turned the camera on and was shocked by what appeared. I believe I can see a ghostly figure coming out of the window with a light, and then it walks down the path and past the car. I was completely astonished when I saw the recording that it picked up what I saw, and I was in disbelief. I have watched it so many times and can't come up with any explanation. It's clearly a ghost, mate, is what it says here in the article.
Yeah, the video is pretty compelling.
Is it?
Yeah, I thought so.
Oh, the first time I brought it up, it said, cannot play because of something or another.
Oh, I watched it a couple of times. It's pretty compelling. I'll just say that. It is a weird video.
The clip was filmed on the 26th of March while the country was in lockdown, or is in lockdown, which seemingly doesn't apply to ghosts. They don't observe that whole lockdown thing. COVID doesn't affect them none. Rachel isn't the only one to experience a spooky visitor recently. Last month, singer Sam Smith, who uses the they-them pronouns, told fans that they think their gaff is haunted by a ghost who likes to hang out around the stairs. Sharing a clip of themselves singing, Smith wrote, I've been singing this all day today, Ordinary People, by the incredible John Legend. Singing this has taken me back to a whole different time. When I heard his first album, it really made me want to do what I do. So thank you, John, for this song, #Stay Home. However, when they watched the video back, they noticed that the lights began to flicker and posted a follow-up tweet which read, "Just realized my light was flickering the whole way through that singing video. I swear it was a ghost. I always hear a ghost on those stairs." Not everyone was convinced, though, with one fan responding, "Or the bulb is on the way out. Either or, updates required and desired." So there you go.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very weird. Hey, let's go to a phone call, ladies and gentlemen, from Beyond. Here is a phone call to our Voices from Beyond voicemail, 651-300-4977, 651-300-4977. That's the number to call to be a part of the show, just like this caller did.
Hi, Dave and Tim. My name's Michaela from Eureka, California. I wanted to share an experience I had on actually like my birthday last month. I was driving home from a Tinder hookup, and it was night and it was dark, and I was blasting my music, which, you know, it's typical. And I look in my rearview mirror, and I see like nothing, of course, obviously, because it's dark and no one's driving at that time. And then I look up again a couple minutes later, and I see like a pair of headlights like right behind me, like there's a larger vehicle behind me. So I get over, and it gets over with me, and that's all I see is headlights. But I like kind of like in the corner of my rearview mirror, like up more, it looks like there's a bit of a structure, so maybe it was like an RV of sorts. And I'm keeping my eyes on this, and the headlights, it's like a car is right behind me, following me. It's kind of spooky, and it was getting over with me and making the same maneuvers as I was. And there wasn't really any other lights around. There wasn't street lights or anything, so it was just my headlights, and I could see like reflections of other headlights of cars passing me. But it was kind of strange, and I was looking, and I kept looking down, and I was like, maybe it's a cop. So I looked down at my speedometer, and then I looked back up, and it's just fucking gone. And it creeped me the fuck out. And it reminded me of this like one like TV show I watched. Anyway, sorry. But I'm looking, and then I see these other lights kind of towards the side, and it was freaking me out because I had my bass on, and so when the bass in like a car, like it distorts lights as your rear mirror is shaking, and so it was distorting it, the lights making it look like it was eyes blinking. It was really strange. And so then I see like this vehicle kind of like to the side, like for a split second, and then I look back and it's gone, but there's these lights, and I'm making curves. I'm on the highway and I'm making curves, but the lights are like staying, and it's like it's following me. But it was really strange, and I wanted to share that because I thought it was interesting. And I'm like, I've always been more of a paranormal sensitive, and I'm an empath. My mom's an empath. I practice Wicca, so it's like I believe, and like I am like, I don't know. But have a good day, and I love your show. I've been watching for about 8 years. Not watching, listening for about 8 years. So it's really cool to have the opportunity to call. Anyway, have a good one.
On a scale of 1 to 10 this week, how was your pain level? How was your anxiety level? Did you get through the week okay? I know times are tough right now. We've all been going through, you know, that virus thing and the stress from that. And I know the weather's changing. Spring is here, and we're still dealing with some wintry weather in the Midwest. And I got to tell you, pain levels are off the charts, and it's not been fun. It's your buddy Tim for Feels. I tell you, I've been taking my Feels, my CBD, and it's been helping me. I've been getting through these tough times, both anxiety and stress-wise and pain-wise. It's been helping. You know, I've been getting more and more of you who have been reaching out to me and saying to me, "Hey, Tim, is that for real? You're just saying that? Is this just words?" No, it's not just words. It's just not something I say. I don't just get on here and flap my gums at you. Feels really does help me feel better. I'm not putting one over on you. Feels is amazing. I've been using Feels now for weeks, and it's been helping me with my pain. It's amazing. It's been helping me with my sleep. I'm telling you, before I got Feels, I was sleeping maybe an hour at a time. I'd get up in an immense pain in my neck and my back and my knees, and it was aching so much that, and I know you're feeling this as I'm telling you this, that I would get up and I'd sit on the side of my bed and I'd rock back and forth and I couldn't take it anymore. And then I found Feels. I'd take a full dropper of Feels, put it under my tongue for 30 seconds, and within just a few minutes, that pain subsides and I'm ready to go back to bed. I get that same thing during the day when I'm taping this show. Sometimes Dave and I will tape a couple of shows in a row, and I can really only tolerate sitting in a chair for about an hour, hour and a half. And there's days where I'm sitting here 8-9 hours, and man, you want to talk about pain. But you know what helps me with that pain? Feels. Feels helps me with that pain. And I get through it. Again, it's a dropper. I take a full dropper's full, I put it under my tongue for 30 seconds, and I start to feel that pain wash away. Now, you may be saying to yourself, if this is the first time you've heard me talk about Feels, Tim, what is Feels? Well, Feels is premium CBD delivered directly to your doorstep. It's naturally helping me reduce my stress, my anxiety, my pain, and sleeplessness. And Feels is premium CBD. You may be new to the realm of CBD, and that's okay. You know, you may have questions about CBD, and that's fine. The people at Feels are ready to be there for you to answer your questions. How do you take CBD and Feels? Well, it's easy. It comes in a liquid form, and you place a few drops of Feels under your tongue, and you feel the difference within minutes. The thing to remember about CBD is that finding the right dose is important. And thank God, I've had a lot of you who have reached out to me in the last few weeks and asked, how much do you take? I'm a little different. I'm used to taking it. I've taken a lot of different opioids and different pain medications over the years, and I've got a high tolerance, so I take a lot more. You may not need as much. You may only need a few drops. Everybody's dose is different. So leave room to experiment over the course of a week or so, and you may need to take more or less, just depending, to get the effects that you're looking for. But what's nice about Feels is if you're new to CBD, Feels will offer a free CBD hotline, and they do, to help you guide you through your personal experience if you have those questions. You can feel better naturally, folks, through Feels, and I feel better naturally through Feels, and I encourage you to contact Feels and try it. Try it. It works naturally to help you feel better. There's no high, no hangover, no addiction. It just helps you feel better naturally. You just feel that pain wash away, and you just start to feel better. You owe it to yourself. And you do sometimes get that anxiety from being in so much pain. You know what I'm talking about. You get that crippling anxiety that you're going to start to feel more pain once it starts to subside. You're getting ready for that next wave. Even people who just have anxiety, not even chronic pain, but just anxiety, CBD works for that as well. You're going to want to try Feels. You can join the Feels community to get Feels delivered to your door every month. You'll save money on every order, and you can pause or cancel at any time. Although I don't know why you'd want to. I say this every week. I don't know why you'd want to once you try Feels. Now, Feels has me feeling my best every day. It can help you too. I stress this to you every week. Become a member today by going to Feels, that's Feals, feels.com/darkness. You're going to get 50% off your first order with free shipping. That's feels.com, feals.com/darkness to become a member and get 50% automatically taken off your first order with free shipping. Do yourself a favor this week. I know you've heard my voice plenty in the last few weeks, and you've been thinking about it. You've been thinking real hard about it. Can I afford it? Can I do it? Can you afford not to do it? Can you afford to be in pain one more week? Can you afford to have that anxiety one more week? Can you afford another sleepless night this week? You know what? You're not alone. There's a lot of us out there who suffer with pain, who suffer with anxiety. The weight of the world is on a lot of our shoulders right now, and you don't need the extra pain. You don't need the extra anxiety. You don't need the extra stress that comes with all of that. Feels can help you right now, naturally. Go ahead, give it a try. Feels, feals.com/darkness. Get 50% off your first order with free shipping. One more time, feels.com/darkness. YouTube.com/darkness. Take advantage of it today.
All right, let's get back to it, Tim. Where is our next story taking us in the world of supernatural news?
We're going to TV Land, Dave, where there was a little bit of a question as to, in this article, why is Jason Hawes not on Ghost Hunters? I thought we'd made it apparently clear, but evidently the people who wrote this article don't listen to our show.
Sons of bitches. No, that's fine. Let's hear what they have to say. I mean, this is a question we get a lot, believe it or not. It's so strange, isn't it, that I have, folks, because we have a lot of these people on our show and we are friendly with them, not many of them are deep into our sphere of influence. And when you send us a message, starting it off like it's the middle of a conversation that only you're having, it doesn't help me. I get people that email me and they're like, I was watching the episode where they, and that's all I get, they were at the Borley Rectory and they came into contact with this, but I believe that they missed this piece of evidence. First, I'm not on that show. Second of all, I don't know who they is because I don't see every one of the episodes of these shows necessarily when they air. So I might not have gotten to that program yet. It always helps if you have a specific question. What did we think about it? I can help you with. If you need to contact them, contact them. I can't help. I can't get them to go back and review their footage. Just reach out to them through the same means you would reach out to me through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Email them. Most of them have websites. You can find ways to contact them. Not that I mind getting your emails, but I don't know how to answer 95% of the questions that get thrown to me about other people's TV programs.
But Dave, isn't there a big hall of paranormal justice where you all get together and have meetings? And
shh, you know better than to talk about that.
Sorry.
Yes, what happens at the Paranormal Hall of Justice stays at the Paranormal Hall of Justice, Tim.
Okay. I don't know. I don't get invited to the meetings.
Well, next year, Tim, I put you in for a Quick Trip membership.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll be able to push you through next year. Sidekicks, it always takes a little longer. I mean, Robin just got in a few years ago, Tim.
That's true.
All right.
Yeah.
So why isn't Jason Hawes?
Oh, yeah. Why isn't Jason Hawes on Ghost Hunters? Well, the world of the supernatural is as thrilling as it is scary, Dave. I don't know if you know that or not, but they put that in this article. For decades, adrenaline junkies and curious souls have witnessed the world of the paranormal through their TV screens, and Ghost Hunters has become one of the pioneering shows that explored the arena of the other side. Packed with action, drama, history, suspense, thrills, and jump scares, it introduces us to a myriad of mysteries all around the U.S. The universe of spirits is not an untapped territory, but not many have dared to discover it. One of the most watched shows of all time is Ghost Hunters, and it has a wide base of loyal fans and followers worldwide. The American reality documentary series first debuted in 2004. It aired on the Sci-Fi Television Channel and came out with 11 seasons till 2016. The show features a team of paranormal investigators who travel in and around the U.S. to reportedly haunted locations. They use electronic equipment to track any paranormal activity happening around the site. Later, of course, they review that footage and analyze it all and what took place. Then they go to the owner of the place and they have a little review, and then they laugh and they laugh and they laugh. No, I'm kidding. They don't do that part. The super hit series inspired many spin-offs that became equally popular. Now, the program featured Jason Hawes and Grant Wilson, as we know it, as lead investigators who became insanely famous throughout the show. In fact, they were even lampooned on South Park, if you remember that. They both were employees of a plumbing and cleanup service company and bonded on their passion for the supernatural. They would often scout haunted places around their city at night. This led them to become the co-founders of the Atlantic Paranormal Society, otherwise known as TAPS. TAPS is a volunteer organization based in Warwick, Pennsylvania. Listen to me, Rhode Island. I know my geology.
And
Leave me alone.
That's why you're not part of the Paranormal Hall of Justice, Tim.
Why? Because I misread something?
Warwick, Pennsylvania. Come on, old chum.
It's late. That conducts private investigations for people and accepts donations. Their group was also joined by Dave Tango as a tech manager and Steve Gonzalez as co-investigator. They, too, starred in Ghost Hunters as a primary team. In 2019, the show was revived for its 12th season after a gap of 3 years, but unfortunately, Jason Hawes did not feature in it. Now, the question as to why did Jason leave Ghost Hunters. In 2012, Grant left the show. He also left TAPS. There was no official statement released explaining the reason for his departure. But since then, the TRP of the show slipped, and it received a lot of criticism for being scripted. The team, led by Jason, tried to drag the show for another 4 years, but things didn't improve. In 2016, Sci-Fi decided to drop the show from their network altogether. Jason agreed to it and wrapped up the production. The series since then stood canceled. And that was weird.
You said something since canceled. I think there was a word in there that sounded like Siri.
I said stood canceled. And
yeah,
then
she's listening, Tim.
She's weird. In 2019, the A&E television network picked up the series again and renewed it for the 12th season. But only Grant Wilson is featured in it. The show also cast a whole new team of investigators along with Grant. It's not known as to why Jason and the original team are not in it. Some reports suggest that Jason and Grant had a falling out. Some also hint at the assumption that they weren't approached for the casting. Others believe that they denied the offer. Sources also reveal that by then, Jason and his original team had already started filming for another show called Ghost Nation. Now, Jason does have that new show, Ghost Nation, and at the same time, Jason and his original team, including Steve and Dave, began filming that other competing show called Ghost Nation. The three founded another organization called United Paranormal Research Organization, or UPRO, and that is the main theme of their series. Even though the concept is the same, this time around the team answers a call of help from other organizations who are already investigating a haunted location in the U.S. but need the team's expertise. They also investigate private properties at the residents' request, which helps them maintain a national network of investigators and support them. Ghost Nation aims to help real people and families affected by the supernatural. This entire new series that first premiered in December of 2019 was very well received by the public. And that's the end of that story. So,
well, and as a matter of fact, we are working. Jason is trying to clear out some time in his schedule to visit with us as well. So I think we might be having a visit from Jason Hawes, or at least some of the cast members of Ghost Nation coming up soon.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All righty. Let's mention this, Tim. I've got another email here.
Okay.
Ready for this email, Tim, that I've got right here?
I'm ready.
And that I'm about to read, Tim?
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Dave and Tim. I'm a big fan, and I listen every week. I've written before about a few experiences I've had, and here's the one that is the hardest to write about. This happened 32 years ago, but sometimes feels like just yesterday. This requires a little bit of a backup story, so here we go. I was 23 when my second child, my son Shane, was born. I was married to my first husband, and Shane was our second child. Shane had been his older sister's second birthday present. He missed being born on her birthday by an hour and 57 minutes. But he was also born with a lot of unforeseen birth defects. This was the late 80s, and the doctors didn't give ultrasounds unless they detected a serious problem. I had no serious problems during my pregnancy, and he was born 2 days before the due date. Also, genetic disorders were unknown back then. We now know what was wrong from runs within my family, and he was on the bad end of the spectrum. He had a long list of things wrong. Most noticeable were a cleft soft palate. He was blind, and he was the way he formed in the womb made most of his joints misplaced. I never fought so hard for someone in my life, and he had a long list of doctors. When Shane was almost 2 months old, I had a dream. I have had dreams on and off all my life that would later come to pass, but nothing like the dream I had this night. I dreamed in great detail that my son would pass away. I wake up crying and look at the clock. I can't remember the exact time now. I don't think my brain will ever really let me remember fully. Finally, I go back to sleep, and in the morning, life goes on. Life with a 2-year-old and a special needs newborn is never a dull moment, and I push the memory of my dream to the back of my mind until a week later. I wake up in the middle of the night, and I knew something is wrong. I turn on the light, and my son was turning blue. CPR is not a common thing, and we had no house phone. We jump into our car and rush to the hospital. We get him there in time, and he is admitted. I had copies of his medical records with me. I had been filling out paperwork to get some help with different programs the week before. It helped speed things along. He was admitted to the neonatal intensive care unit and seemed to be bouncing back, but the next night he took a sudden turn, and as we both slept, he passed away. I was there with him. After the funeral and shock wore off, the memory of my dream came rushing back. By then, I had received the paperwork on his death certificate and looked at the time. My knees buckled. It was the exact time of the night I had woken up from my dream and looked at the clock. I felt then, and still do, that God, the universal power, or whatever power is truly in control, was trying to prepare me for what was about to happen. I have never had a dream like that since. I listened to my dreams and my gut feelings. I've always believed that there are things around us, and that if we only calm our minds, we can see and hear them. On April 28th, 2020, it will be 32 years since he passed. They say time heals all the pain. I know that is never truly healed. We've just learned to deal with it. I am sorry this was such a sad story, but I had to tell it. I will write again with a couple other stories that are not sad. Thanks for doing all that you do. You both make me think and laugh. Keep up the great work. Stay safe and healthy. Your friend, Shelley. Shelley, first of all, you never have to apologize for sharing your stories with us, sad, happy, or scary, or otherwise. Thank you for opening up and sharing, because your story may help give comfort to a listener out there who may have gone through something very similar to this. Our hearts are with you and your family on this, the anniversary, 32nd anniversary of his passing. I thank you very much for opening up and choosing to share your story with all of us. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We've got more to discuss. You're listening to the very best in paranormal talk radio. I'm Dave. That's Tim. This is Darkness Radio.
Guess what? Bombas makes the most comfortable socks in the history of feet. That's right. I just broke the news to you just right now. They've literally rethought every little detail of the socks we wear to make them way more comfortable. In fact, I'm wearing a pair right now. I wear them every day. I've taken my old diabetic socks and I put them to the side because Bombas socks have redone socks to where they're so comfortable and so supportive that they've even beaten my old diabetic socks. I took Bombas socks into my doctor, Dr. Corfield, over at the University of Minnesota. And I said to him, Dr. Corfield, look I got these brand new Bombas socks. What do you think of them? And he took a look at them and he said, Tim, these are absolutely perfect. These are great socks. And I asked him, can I start wearing these instead of my diabetic socks? Because I feel more supported. And these are cool and they're comfy. And they're warm when I need them to be warm. And they're just perfect. These are the perfect socks. These feel great. I don't want to wear anything else. And he said, you know what? Go ahead and start wearing these. So I started wearing Bombas rather than my diabetic socks. And you may say to yourself, but are these the kind of socks that'll work for me? I know, Tim, you look out for your diabetic feet, but are they the socks for me? I would say yes. These socks are absolutely perfect for you as well. They support you right in the middle of your foot. They've got the perfect heel support in the back. The toe is a no-seam toe. It's an absolutely perfect sock. I can describe it to you all I want, but you need to try it for yourself. You should try it right now. Not only that, but let me tell you, Dave and I firmly believe in businesses that give back to the community. And these socks do more than keep your feet cozy. They help give back to the most vulnerable members of our community. And we love Bombas for that. Because for every pair of socks that you purchase, Bombas donates a pair for someone in need. The generosity of Bombas' customers has allowed them to donate over, get this, 34 million pairs of socks and counting through their nationwide network of 3,000 plus giving partners. And for that, Bombas, you get a round of applause. And to the Bombas customers as well. We absolutely love Bombas. And the impact is more powerful than ever. To those experiencing homelessness, these socks represent the dignity of putting on clean clothes, which is a small comfort that is especially important right now. What you can do for us right now is you can give a pair when you buy a pair. And we'll give you 20% off your first purchase at bombas.com/darkness. Do it for us today. That's BOMBAS.com/darkness for 20% off your first purchase. I know I've bought plenty of pairs of Bombas. Dave has bought plenty of pairs of Bombas. We love to give back to our community. We hope you'll do so as well. Again, get 20% off your first purchase at bombas.com/darkness. That's bombas.com/darkness for 20% off your first purchase. Give back to your community. Get a great pair of socks. Give back to your feet as well. You're going to feel great when you get a pair of Bombas socks on your feet. Do it right now. 20% off your first purchase at bombas.com/darkness. That's bombas.com/darkness.
All right, let's get back to it. It is a day of supernatural news, Parashare stories, chit-chatting with my pal Tim Dennis. And we've got a story I sent to you, Tim, an audio daily double. Do you have that story available?
I do, yes, as a matter of fact.
Let's start off with this. This is a really interesting story that was sent to us, and I thought it was so fascinating I wanted to play the audio on it. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this strange audio oddity from Darkness Radio.
Okay, here's a kind of creepy story from the convent. Shortly after I entered, some of the sisters were sitting around talking about how sometimes the souls of the dead will knock on their bedroom doors in order to ask for prayers. I thought they were joking. They were not joking. Several weeks later, I was getting ready for bed. It was probably around 10 p.m. I heard a very loud knock on my bedroom door. It was a big, thick mahogany door, so it wasn't like a creaking sound. It was a knock. I went to answer it, and no one was there. Now, the hallway is super long, and the bedrooms are pretty far apart. So if it had been someone playing a prank, I would have seen them. So yeah, I was pretty freaked out. I said, y'all souls of the dead, you're freaking me out. Stop knocking on my door, and I will pray for you every single day. So I did. And I didn't get any more knocks on my door. At least not from people who were not actually there.
There you go.
Dead people knocking at the door. Dead people ringing the bell. What do you think of that? Working at a convent, and the nuns are all like, oh yeah, the ghosts just come by and knock on the door to be prayed for.
Must have been a southern convent, because y'all's ghosts aren't coming around me.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Ooh, kind of chilling. All right, what's our next news story, sir?
We go to the UK, Dave, where smoking UFO is spotted in free fall. Can't even say it. Free for all.
It's a free for all. Bam, bam, bam.
Yeah, it's a Ted Nugent UFO.
Yeah.
Smoking UFO is spotted in free fall over UK. There, I says it. Sometimes my lips work and sometimes they don't.
You done says it, Tim.
That's what she said. Video footage appearing. Blah. Let me rewind. Video footage appearing showing a UFO falling from the sky over the UK has triggered debate about its identity. The mystery object left a thick vapor trail as it appeared to be in freefall above Bath in southwest England, reported the Somerset Live publication. Local resident Luke Craddock filmed it on Friday evening and said a friend in London, about 200 kilometers away, also saw it. Mr. Craddock says the white vapor trail changed to black as the object fell closer to the ground. He also tweeted that the object would have been an could have been an aircraft in trouble. Vid doesn't do it justice, was in distance but looked huge. Further, it went down, big black trail then appeared. Plane crash? He tweeted, not said, because if he would have said it but one expert on paranormal phenomena...
What was that, Tim?
One expert on paranormal phenomena
Paranormal what, Tim?
Phenomena.
Did you say it was paranormal
phenomena?
Go on.
Has suggested one theory about what the mystery object was. Haley Stevens says it could have been an optical illusion caused by the contrail or vapor trail left by a plane. The footage shows something which looks like an aircraft leaving a contrail behind in the sky, which is quite unusual, Ms. Stevens said. The eyewitness describes it as being dark or black. I suspect that this is because it was seen when the sun was setting, which means there could have been shadows cast on the aircraft or on the contrail. Ms. Stevens says she always attempts to find rational reasons for apparent paranormal or supernatural sightings, and in this case of the bath UFO, there is one. The video doesn't match the description from the eyewitness's detailed account of what it looked like and how it was traveling, which could be a number of reasons, she said. But quite often when we see something we don't recognize, when we try to recall it accurately later on, we run the risk of embellishing our account of what happened or misremembering it because of the way the brain works. So there you go.
All right. Interesting stuff. Mm-hmm. We've got more emails, Tim.
Oh,
are you ready for an email?
Ready.
Then let us begin. Dave. That's all that says right there. It's just Dave.
That's fine.
But sometimes you get worked in a little later, so hold on. Let's see where this goes. Dave, thank you so much for doing the Ethel Allen story. Ashley's Restaurant is about 2 miles from my house. About 8 years ago, my girlfriend and I joined a paranormal team from Orlando in an overnight investigation there. The lead investigator gave us instructions of what to bring and where, stressing no cologne or strong perfumes and no electronic devices during the investigation. The evening started with dinner. Then we broke into small groups, which assigned to a team member. Each investigator gave us a small history of the building and the events that have taken place there. Ashley's Restaurant is an interesting building as it was an old train station situated right on the tracks and near the river. It was also featured on 2020, and several pictures of ghostly apparitions dot the wall. We did a few spirit voice sessions and K2 meter tests, but we got no activity. I felt no presence or energy, and as the night went on, I couldn't help but thinking, there were too many people there to experience anything. We tried the experiment where you unscrew the flashlight top and see if the spirit can use its energy to make the light shine. We got a few flickers, but not much. I doubt this experiment, however, as electricity will arc, and I think the light coming on is more science than paranormal. How dare you have rationale? It's a good point. Science. Finally, to get something, one of the team leaders asked me and my girlfriend to walk outside on the railroad tracks in the back. We walked about 20 yards down the tracks, and the team leader, a female, asked me to hold the K2 and talk to Ethel. Immediately, it lit up and flashed like crazy. I handed it back to her, and she scanned the area but got no response. We set it down behind me, and it went crazy again. The investigator asked if she liked me to give us another sign. Suddenly, a strong perfume smell enveloped us. It was a strong old lady smell, like the perfume your grandma would wear. It dissipated after a minute, but it was a cool experience for me. I have another story from Key West involving Robert the Doll, free drinks, and black-eyed kids. If that fits your show, I'll send that in sometime as well.
Oh, no, come on.
Thanks for the content and keep entertaining. Ron. Look me in the eyes, Ron. Yes, it fits our content. What in the best in paranormal talk radio do people not understand, Tim? Why must they tease out these stories, make us beg for more? Am I not human? If you prick me, do I not bleed, Tim?
Ron, it's not like we're sitting around giving you tips on what to sell on Etsy.
Although I do have a few ideas on that as well.
Well, okay. But, I mean, mainly we're sitting around, doing paranormal talk radio here. Of course we want to hear about Robert the Doll and free drinks and what was
Black-eyed kids.
Yeah, and black-eyed kids. Yeah,
it's been a while. We need more black-eyed kid encounters.
Yeah.
So share them with us. Ron, you tease. And by the way, Tim, don't ever prick me to see if I bleed, okay?
I won't. No.
Thank you.
I'll leave my prick to myself.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. Where are we off to next?
This place where they've got the voices of ghosts of children.
Really?
Yeah.
Children, you say?
Children, I say, yeah.
All right.
Children. It's the ghosts of children, Dave. Ghostly voices of young children, which brought a chill to the heart, were some of the things that these paranormal investigators say they found when they carried out an investigation near, I believe it's Swaddling Coat, Dave. They don't swaddling with you with a blanket. They don't swaddling you with a jacket. They swaddling you with a coat.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. The team from Haunted Live produced a Facebook video, which was recorded at, is it Moira Furnace, I believe, museum near Swaddling Coat? Sure.
Sounds right to me.
Yeah. Which they say shows the venue is haunted. They take part in paranormal investigations and ghost hunts across the UK. The Haunted Live team is made up of 5 ghost hunters. They were speaking about their experiences when they carried out their probe at the Furnace building, which Ty said would stay with them. I believe maybe that was supposed to be they, I'm not sure, for a long time to come. During their night at the Furnace, they claimed they heard spooky whistles and girls' voices.
Spooky whistles?
Yeah.
Is that a spooky whistle?
I believe you nailed it, yeah.
Thanks.
Well, one of the teams says they actually witnessed a ghostly shadow. The Furnace is well known for accounts of previous accounts of paranormal activity. Nosy dotes and nosy dotes, and I don't know. It's kind of a rhymey sentence. The Furnace was built in 1804 by the Earl of Moira to take advantage of the local area's coal and iron. Many ghost hunts have been held there, and many reports of hearing what they believe to be voices. There have also been sightings of shadowy figures spotted in the building's workshops. Spirits are also said to have been seen by visitors wandering through the nearby woodland. Paul Stevenson from Haunted Live said, "We chose Moira because it is one of those hidden little gems on our doorstep that needs people to be made more aware of day or night. There's so much history and mystery all over the UK, and in regards to the paranormal, we are really just scratching the surface. There are so many more locations to be discovered, and while Moira Furnace may have had odd paranormal inquiry here, and there it is relatively untapped at the moment, on the night we heard whistles, girls' voices." They took the spooky out this time. I guess it was just whistles. Girls' voices, and during... I'm so dry right now. And during the night, the energy or whatever was there started to get a bit darker and nastier at times. A few of us were touched. One of us saw a shadow of someone in a corner. One of us followed someone up the stairs thinking it was one of the team, but we were all elsewhere, he went on to say. It's a great place and worthy of many investigations. It's probably the first time we've all experienced solo things rather than as a group, which is good. He went on also to say, every building has the potential to be haunted, whether it is or not. That's the question that we love finding out. Mr. Stevenson even praised Moira's operations supervisor, Tom Phillips, saying he is a forward thinker who realizes that Moira Furnace can appeal to people in the daytime and also at night. Haunted Live's team is made up of Mr. Stevenson as well as James Pikett, Simon Powell, Dave, not Cowell.
It was horrible. I absolutely hated the whistling. It was so off tune. It was horrible. I'm Simon Powell, and welcome to Whistling Idol.
Andy Soar and Jason Wall. He is your Wonderwall, by the way. The original furnace was built in 1804 thanks to the area's rich coal and iron industry, and soon failed due to faults in its structural design, but it is well preserved. By 1811, the blast furnace had closed, but it continued to operate as an iron foundry for 30 years. The building was converted into 4 small cottages for mine workers in the 1820s, and the last residents moved out in the 1970s. It's since been used by old rangers for the site, and most recently now houses the Moira Furnace Museum and County Park. It's also a protected scheduled monument, and it is nationally important. It's a nationally important archaeological site or historic building granted protection against unauthorized change. So there you go.
All right. I think we've got another call, don't we, Tim?
Yes, we do. We have one more call.
All right, let's go to it. Our Voices from Beyond voicemail yields this gem.
Tim, if a recording of Chicken Scratch still exists, it is your civic duty to play it on the radio. What if, just like your favorite movie, Mars Attacks, we find out that your song is the cure for COVID-19? As soon as we start playing it, little cells of corona start popping all around the world, and you could have cured it, but no, you're too shy. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Play the song, my friend. Just play the song. Save us all.
Hi, Tenacious Tim. Dynamic Dave. This is Teresa over in Kingsburg, California again. I'm calling to tell about a story where I believe spirit intercepted and saved my life. Back in my early 20s, I was going through a really tough time, mildly suicidal. I would go out drinking and wake up in various places. It was a rough time in my life. And I lived out in the deep, deep country, and you didn't see police officers until you called them and then waited an hour for them to show up. That's how far out in the country we were. And one night I went out drinking, and unfortunately I drove, and snow started to fall. It was very cold, and for some reason I stopped at our community mailboxes to get mail, and I passed out in my car as the snow was falling, and I didn't have a whole lot of clothing on. And all of a sudden I was woken out of a deep, deep sleep, and it was a police officer banging on my window. And it was shocking because you never saw the police out in the country like that. And I was shivering all over. My car had snow on it. I'm pretty sure I was close to possibly freezing to death. And the police officer, after he revived me, he rubbed my arms and he put me in his patrol car with the heater on, and he told me that I was so cold that I was probably close to death. And I asked him, how did he find me? And he said he was out on the highway, and something told him to turn off the highway and just keep going. And we were 5 miles off the highway. And he said he just was driving out in the country with no real reason except that he had a small voice in his head that told him to keep driving. And he found my car, and he said he couldn't believe that there was someone inside of it that early in the morning, covered in snow, with basically just like a mini skirt and a tank top on. And so I believe that I wasn't supposed to die that night. And that police officer was there to save me. I'm getting a little choked up. Sorry. Thank you guys for your great show. I love all the good stories.
All right, let's get back to it. Supernatural news. What's up next?
Well, Dave, you're just sitting around here in quarantine time. You're looking for something interesting to watch. I got a good one for you.
Okay, do tell.
It's a scene from a morgue in an autopsy room. It's kind of chilling, actually. I shouldn't.
Okay. Yeah. Scene from a morgue in an autopsy room. Is this a Netflix show?
No. It's a real life video.
Oh, no, thanks.
No?
Well, let's hear what you've got.
Well, through social networks, a video recorded from inside a morgue has gone viral, and it's a spookier type of video. That video has gone viral thanks to its unusual paranormal events, which was recorded from a security camera from inside a morgue right here in the good old US of A in August of 2013. The workers of the place claimed to have heard strange sounds, so trying to discover the mystery and know that they had the reason for presence of the paranormal, they located certain cameras in various places in the morgue. In one of the recordings, this creepy video came out that has gone around the world, and that surely has made the hair stand up on many people who have seen it. Here's what happened. The workers say that they went home and returned the next day. The first thing they did was go watch the recordings, and they were terrified to see and hear some strange events, which were especially recorded in the autopsy room. The images were shared on YouTube. In the viral video, you can hear someone's breathing. Remember that nobody was in the morgue at the time. After a few seconds, several objects begin to fall without any explanation. You can actually even see bursts of light and air throughout the course of the clip. The quote is, "I worked in a hospital, and sometimes when I went down to the morgue to leave bodies, it was disturbing, and seeing all the residue of blood water on the iron was terrifying. Sometimes it looked like someone was walking under the door," said one netizen watching the video on YouTube. The video has caused a lot of controversy, and among some comments, people affirm that these things do happen in places like cemeteries, churches, and hospital morgues. So what do you think, Dave? Could you hang in there and watch a spooky morgue video where things are moving around?
It's weird. Like, I'll go into an old house or a historic location and ghosts there, but I don't know what it is about like morgues and cemeteries that just make my blood run cold. Why? I know we have a lot of friends out there that are psychologists and psychologists. Mm-hmm. And I wonder why it is that gets into my head so much.
You know what it is? I think it especially like at Waverly, the bloodletting room, when you go in there.
Yeah.
It's setting up the actual process of what happens in that room. I think just walking into that room, you can imagine automatically what happens in that room, and then you actually start to physically see the process in your mind. And it's
yeah, maybe.
You know, we've all been exposed to horror movies so much that you physically can take yourself there. And then there's the inevitability that someday that may be you on that slab. And I think that's what makes it so creepy.
Could be. Yeah. Once you're just there, that's like, maybe it's just too fresh.
That could be too. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
Weird.
It is creepy though when you watch that sort of stuff, and that there are things moving, and the fact that the other part of it too is I think you can actually take it to the point of watching it and then going, you know, what if you end up watching yourself going through that process? That's even weirder. That's
horrifying.
Yeah, I even creeped myself out on that one. But yeah.
Well, they say, I was just reading an article by accident, and it said that, no, I can't talk about it. Yeah, I don't want to put it in people's heads. Dave, and I'm going to get a million emails, but just tell me. You don't have to share it in public. It's just so horrible of good gravy.
But then,
okay, here it is.
Okay.
And this is a theory.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
What if... Oh, my God. What if consciousness stays around and the sense of feeling is still there? They're saying up to 45 minutes to maybe 2 hours long. And you can still feel, hear, and sense, even though everything else is shutting down, you still can feel the rigor mortis setting in. Oh, see what I'm saying? It's horrible.
Yeah, horrible. No. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Do you hear what I'm saying?
I hear what you're saying.
All right. I have a friend, Tim. We have a friend.
Yep.
Who is involved in psychology. And I'm attempting to dial her while we're talking right now. Can you hear the beeping?
I can't. No.
Okay, good.
Right.
Because I sent her a text whilst we're recording the show, and asked if she has a moment to take a phone call about the question that I just posed.
Okay.
Why would this happen? I want to get her psychological views on this.
Sure. Yeah.
So hold on one second. She's going to join us in just a moment here. And then we'll pose the question to her to see if perhaps she can give us the insight that we so desperately seek.
Okay.
Paranormal Sarah, how are you?
Hello. Good. How are you?
Good. All right. So we're calling you right in the middle of our show because I had a question. All right. I was saying we just read a news story and talking about haunted mortuaries and morgues and hospitals and cemeteries creep me out more than anything. I mean, I'll go into old houses where there's reportedly demonic activity and ghosts and this and that and the other. But why is it, Paranormal Sarah, who has a psych degree, why is it that talking about like a hospital or a morgue, the idea of that being haunted is even more terrifying to me? Why do you believe that would be?
Well, I would think it would be two things. Firstly, I would think it might be like a past life thing. It might be an actual like soul aversion, something that you specifically, subjectively don't like or feel uncomfortable by. So it's like a trigger, something that's like a deep-seated, rooted kind of thing. Maybe that you had a horrible life experience or you associate it with a lot of the loss or grief in your life. And it kind of really goes into that yin space where we do shadow work and it's just kind of an uncomfortable place to be. So you try to avoid it. Could be that.
Hey.
And or, hospitals and mortuaries, that's kind of a place where things go to die. Cemeteries, that's, if we're believing in that, this is a place where things are collectively going in their most vulnerable state to die, to pass on. So that residual energy, it's like pinching your old cassette tape track. It really puts a dent in your song in a way that's not always a good thing to hear played back. It's not giving you a harmony and a peace because this is where things go to die. And everyone knows, Dave, especially for you, you like to spread joy. You like to be talking. You like the idea of legacy and living beyond and being bigger than life. So to go somewhere to die, to be silenced, that might be pretty scary for you.
Yeah. See, I was kind of in that vein as well. Now, the first one you brought up really kind of strikes me as an interesting possibility, as does the second. But I was telling Tim, maybe by going to the haunted locations, usually we're going years after a death has taken place. And the idea of a haunted morgue and cemetery and funeral home and things like that, it's just so recent that maybe that's just what I find more chilling is it's like, I don't know. The concept of those places being haunted just sends shivers down my spine. I know here I've had a chance to investigate a lot of places in Minnesota, and I have a friend that runs a funeral home that he believes is quite haunted and has asked me in on numerous occasions to investigate. And I've been like, no, I just don't, I don't want to do that. I don't feel right about it. I feel icky. It's so bizarre to me, because again, it's just like, I don't know if these are fresh lost souls that are kind of like, what the hell?
That purgatory limbo space.
Right.
That's really a sad thing to think about, especially if it's our loved ones. And, all of us, we go through grief in our own way. But if we're grieving someone we love, the thought that they might be stuck somewhere or that they might be lost, I mean, that truly is. I think religion plays such an important role in establishing that fear. That's the worst. That's the worst. So absolutely, who wants to go and feel that, especially when you're an intuitive, empathetic kind of person?
Did you say and pathetic? You say I'm an intuitive and
empathetic. Dave, Freudian slip. No.
Just checking. Wow, that's great insight. I appreciate that, Paranormal Sarah.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever explored your past lives or the thoughts of, the things that you may have experienced in hospitals, but the idea of lost or floating souls, I think everyone can identify with that. I think even now in like the recent present time and kind of this pandemic, we're thinking of like these mass graves. We're thinking of times in history where big trauma has happened, and that takes us to a space where we're uncertain and foggy. It's very similar to that purgatory, like a Moor kind of talked about in Edgar Allan Poe. It's mysterious and creepy, and it's definitely uncomfortable. So I can empathize with that.
Yeah, it's bizarre, but thank you. That's great insight. We got to get you back on the show here when we can. Spend a little time talking more than just a few minutes to join us.
Absolutely.
Paranormal Sarah, we have people asking always for good references on mediums and people doing readings, and I know that you're one of the best. You're located right here in the Twin Cities. You do phone readings, Skype readings. What do you do?
All of the above, especially for people being stuck at home. We're doing like Facebook Live, we're doing Skype, we're doing all sorts of things, but you can find all of it at paranormalsarah.com.
There you go, paranormalsarah.com. Go check it out. Not only is she empathetic, I said empathetic. Not only is she psychic and a medium, but she's a wonderful human being with a psych background and degree as well. So she's a great place for you if you're needing that help and want some insights. So treat her well, and I think you're going to enjoy your readings. Sarah, thank you. Be safe during this time, and we'll connect here soon, all right?
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. You're the best. I love talking to you. I'll talk to you soon. All
right. Thank you. There you go, Tim. It's just as simple as that. We just make a phone call during the middle of the show. We get answers.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's, I don't know. That's just the power of Darkness Radio.
There you go.
Yeah. I like to think so. Yeah. All right, where are we off to next, sir?
Well, of course, we're going to go from morgues to murder house flip.
Yeah, how about this? Go on.
Paranormal Activities reveal gruesome murder, but can renovation fix the bad energy? Hosts. Now, see, I've never seen the show, so forgive me if I butcher the name. Joelle. Is it Uzile and Mikkel Welch?
Maybe.
Maybe. Take on the task of renovating the house where William Terry Bradford murdered his wife. We'll just say Joelle and Mikkel. How's that? Or Michael. Is it Michael?
Sure. Uh-huh.
I'm not sure. Managed to change the look and the feel of the house where serial killer Dorothea Puente committed her crimes, and now the duo is all set to transform another house. In the latest episode of the show, the duo took the task of renovating the house where William Terry Bradford murdered his wife. The house is currently occupied by husband and wife John and Karina and their two beautiful daughters. John recalled that when they first saw the house, they were surprised to find that it was on sale. The 4-bedroom, 4-bath house is situated in a locality that everyone would want to be part of. When he inquired why the house was on sale, the realtor failed to inform him that a murder had taken place in the house. The realtor instead told him that an old woman had died in the house due to natural causes, while the law in the U.S. asks the realtor to inform potential buyers about all the incidents that take place in a house. It also mentions that after 3 years, they have the right to withhold this information. Unfortunately, John and Karina became a victim of this, as they did not find out about the murder until they started experiencing paranormal activities in their home. The pair revealed that they saw lights flickering in the house, their security alarm going off, and they also heard the constant noise of the garage door opening and shutting. Boy, that's bizarre. Seeing these events led them to dive into the history of the house, and they found out that Bradford had murdered his wife in this very house. Karina said that his wife had divorced him and asked him to pay $40,000 in the settlement. This did not go well with him, and he decided to shoot her. Bradford shot his wife 5 times and left her to die on the living room floor. Her body was found the next day by her children. Bradford was arrested by police 12 to 13 years after the incident took place, but the murder weapon has still not been found. It's believed that the murder weapon may be in the fireplace, which is in the living room. John revealed that the fireplace has a storage area, and people believe that the murder weapon might still be there. While John and Karina are aware their house is known as the haunted house in the block, the pair wanted to get rid of the bad energy. They believe the fireplace could be the root cause of that bad energy, and the renovation of the living room can help change the feel of the house. They also hope their friends would be willing to come and visit them once the renovation is over, but can Welch and Uzile, I believe is the last name, fix the house? Only the episode can tell. Murder House Flip can be streamed on the Quibi app.
That is so weird, don't you think?
Yeah.
By the way, if you have T-Mobile phones, I believe you get Quibi free for like a year.
Yeah, if you
That's a gift from
sign
Darkness
up,
Radio Dave to you. I mean, not really. T-Mobile's giving it to you, but I'm letting you know in case you didn't know.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, the cousins in Florida have a very famous murder house on the corner of their street in Hudson, and it stood vacant for a long time, and I think it just recently sold. Somebody just moved in there. And this house has been featured on like every single famous murder show you've ever seen. And it's creepy even to drive by it. Like but I think it might have been involved in this murder house flip show as well. But like there's always like camera crews over at this house.
That's creepy.
Yeah,
you know what? Here's my thought on this. You know, I just hope that people that buy it aren't doing it for macabre reasons.
Right.
You know, it's one thing if you buy a house and, you know, there was a death there, you know, grandpa had a heart attack, an aneurysm, something, right? Cancer, whatever. It's one thing to think that, but if you go in there trying to cash in on a senseless tragedy like that, it kind of makes my skin crawl.
I would think if you knew the history of the house, that and believe me, this house sat vacant for a couple of years. If you knew the history of the house, you just wouldn't want to go near it with a 10-foot pole, you know? Especially knowing that your neighbors knew that this was the murder house, and that they knew the people in the house. This neighborhood is a particularly tight-knit neighborhood. So it's everybody kind of knows everybody. So I don't know that you want to be the people who moved into the murder house.
Yeah.
You know, kind of casts a big shadow on you, you know, from the word go.
Creepy.
I think people who tend to want to move into houses like that, either one, don't believe in ghosts, or they don't believe in supernatural, or they don't believe in hauntings or anything like that. Or two, they just love bargains, one or the other.
Right. Well, there is a hell of a deal on those murder houses in a lot of cases. It's crazy. Like stigmatized property can be 30 to 40% lower in some instances than any other place. But, you know, I guess if you go in and maybe have it cleared and just, you know, pay homage to the spiritual realm instead of, oh, we're going to buy the old murder house and turn it into a bed and breakfast or something creepy. You know, that just, that kind of freaks me out. All right, Tim, our next email takes us back in time. Are you ready for this?
Ready.
Good evening, Dave and Tim. Hope you're both staying safe and well. The story I'm about to tell you happened so many years ago in the late 80s. This is when you and I met, Tim, in the late 80s.
Yeah.
It's like a romantic hand-in-hand walk down memory lane together.
Aw.
I was very close to my Nana. That's what the email says, not my story, Tim. Back out of me, back to the author of the story.
Okay.
I was very close to my Nana. We had such a special relationship. We did everything together. I think I spent more time with my Nana than I did with my own mom. Once I started working and carving my way in the world, I never got to see her as often as I would have liked. That's the way of life, I guess. I moved out from my family home and rented a place of my own. My small little house got my Nana's approval, and I was happy. I worked hard. Eventually, my boyfriend moved in, and life was good. This night, I went to bed as normal, snuggled down under the covers. I would usually fall asleep quite quickly, but not this night. I tossed and turned. Eventually, my boyfriend snapped at me, "For God's sakes, go to sleep!" I said to him, "I can't. I feel there's something wrong." I just couldn't put my finger on it. This nagging feeling would not leave me. Eventually, I fell asleep. I awoke for the following morning with a start. Someone had said my name really loudly in my ear, loud enough for it to wake me up. I sat bolt upright in my bed, every hair on my body standing on end. I was about to ask my boyfriend why he had woken me up, but he was still asleep. I felt uneasy, and I still didn't know why. I just knew there was something wrong. I couldn't phone home to ask if anything was wrong because I didn't have a home phone. It was an extra bill that I just couldn't afford at that time. I went off to work that morning as normal. Back then, I worked in a factory, so I started work at 8 a.m. I hadn't been working for very long when my friend got called into the office. When she came back, I said to her, "Oh, it will be me next. You know this, don't you?" We both laughed and carried on working. I noticed that a tray of tea was carried into the office. I knew in my heart that tea was meant for me. I don't know how I knew, I just did. The next thing I knew, my supervisor tapped me on the shoulder and said, "You're wanted in the office." I then had this sinking, horrible feeling. I was asked to sit down. I was handed the phone, being told it was my mom on the other end. the first words out was, "Who is this?" When my mom told me it was my Nana, it broke my heart. It was then that I realized why I felt so uneasy the night before. I still wonder if my Nana calling my name that morning, that is something I just will never know. There is one more thing I should mention about this story. My Nana was a devout Catholic. She went to church 3 times a week. She must have known she was going to die before she left her home for evening mass. She put a shoebox on her bed that contained all of her important documents, like her will. She went to church that night and died. I believe she died in the best place for her. It's funny how you can sense when something is wrong, even though you may not know what it is. Sorry for such a long story this time. Still love your show. Never, ever stop saying phenomena. It makes me laugh every time. Stay well and safe, from Pat in the UK. Pat, I think it was your grandmother. She was saying your name just one more time on her way out. And that should be a moment of comfort knowing that your connection was that strong. Thank you, Pat, so much for sharing that story with us. We appreciate it. All right, Tim, the moment is here. I believe we are at the end of our stories for today. What is our final news story?
Final news story. We're going to Arizona. My story's freaking out on me. Where we're talking about aliens, or are we, Dave? Is it truly an alien we saw up in the sky, in that Arizona sky on Thursday?
Oh, yeah, this has been big news. It was like the Phoenix Lights all over again, right over Arizona. But thousands of people saw this. Yeah,
they did, and they marveled at it, and they thought, oh, finally, at least contact. But not so fast. Turns out they're just SpaceX satellites. And you can see them again on Monday. I mean,
SpaceX satellites?
SpaceX, Dave.
SpaceX? What is SpaceX like?
No,
Tim?
Dave, not SpaceX. SpaceX, Elon Musk.
SpaceX. Having sex with your exes in space? I'm so confused.
No, Dave, you don't want to go back down that road.
I don't. No.
We go to Phoenix, Dave, where residents across the valley reported a string of mysterious lights streaking across. Now, again, this has nothing to do with SpaceX, but streaking across the...
Streaking, huh? Okay.
No, across the Arizona sky Wednesday night. But don't worry, they're not aliens. Don't get your undies in a bunch. At least not yet. SpaceX, I evidently have to say that slow for Dave, says it's the company's Starlink satellite network. These satellites can periodically be seen clearly when they're in perfect alignment with the sun to reflect back or light back towards the Earth's surface, because evidently it's not light enough here on Earth and not warm enough. Go figure. The company's satellite tracker says Starlink will be visible through Arizona Thursday night around 8 p.m. and again on Monday, this coming Monday. Starlink is meant to provide satellite internet service across the globe. You're welcome. Just saying.
Oh.
Yeah. One tweet from @PoBuds. You heard me. PoBuds with a Z. They're hip. Great at hashtag Starlink viewing tonight in Arizona. Several different heights and trajectories. In fact, in one of the lines, it looked like one was spinning out of control. Same spacing size, but flashes of lights that look like spin. I can see the mesh forming. So there you go. It's got a purdy design. It's not the first time the lights sparked curiosity across Arizona. The same SpaceX, Dave, SpaceX.
Same SpaceX, go ahead.
Not SpaceX. Satellites were spotted from the West Valley to Tucson last November. There's no danger of impending alien invasion, so calm your tits, as they used to say. SpaceX says it's a naturally occurring phenomenon.
Do-do-do-do-do.
Phenomenon.
Do-do-do-do.
Phenomenon.
Yeah.
As the satellites orbit our planet. So there you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. Well, kids, that's it for today. Dr. Stephen Greer, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, tomorrow on the Best in Paranormal Talk Radio. Make sure you tune in for more Dave and Tim. Every week you can tune in and listen to the show. And I'm going to give you guys a quick update. We told you that there were some changes that were coming. Unfortunately, because of the current situation and state of the world, things are staying status quo for just a while longer. As soon as we understand exactly what's going on in our world and what things might be shifting and changing, we will let you know. We want to thank everybody that has stayed on subscribing to True Crime Tuesday. Again, we do a show every Tuesday, True Crime Tuesday. If you are so inclined to subscribe to that program, it would be great because that helps to support us in this program and keep us afloat, especially in this time. That is the only income that your pals Dave and Tim get is from the subscriptions that are coming in from True Crime Tuesday. So if you'd consider subscribing to that, there are links and subscription information at darknessradio.com. $5 a month give you the best in true crime talk radio, 4 to 5 brand new episodes every month, depending on how many Tuesdays fall in that month, Tim. We offer the best in strange and unusual cases. Plus, we lighten up your mood every week with some dumb crimes, stupid criminals. Go check it out for yourself. You can find it all over at darknessradio.com. And while I'm mentioning it, make sure you stop into our shop if you're bored and looking for good books or things to keep yourself involved at the Darkness Radio store. Go to darknessradio.com, click on the store tab at the top of the page, our shop tab there, and it'll take you, and you can click on the Amazon storefront. We have all the books you hear on the paranormal shows, all the true crime books you hear in our true crime programs, and then we have a gift shop that has all kinds of cool items, from toys to games to clothing and more, all based around the supernatural and paranormal. And every purchase, a very small percentage, goes to the show. So make sure you go check that out as well. Stay safe. Wash your hands, be kind to one another, and we'll be back tomorrow for more of the best in Paranormal Talk Radio. This is Darkness Radio.